And we are back. Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome. Welcome back. And if this is your first time stopping by, I hope you enjoy this. As we get started, we have some clarifications to do. As I will admit, I forgot to read the code of conduct and also the copyright rules for some subreddits and for the Creepypasta website. From here on out, I will not be reading from the Creepypasta website unless I have direct permission from the author to do so, because in the Creepypasta website it says that narration is not allowed without, you know, without being able to prove it. I have physical evidence of them agreeing to it. So, for that time being, we'll be reading more of the Reddit stories. No, I was not able to get permission from most of the Redditors, but I was able to get permission from one. Hopefully, let me quickly pull it up. And I'm going to just send them a message and say thank you. You? Oh no, I already said thank you. I'll do my best. Best English stories. Well, this Redditor, this user, is user haunting minute 5103. Or haunting minute 5103. Sadly, right now, my headset is on, so there is a good chance you guys will hear the background music echo. The reason being is because, well, I don't have the best quality of things. As an example, the mic I'm currently using was God knows how old. So we'll be doing things from here. Hello. We'll be reading stories from user haunting minute 5103 from here on out until we finish them. And until I get permission from other users to read their stories as well. If there is a story you'd want me to read, please by all means put them into the Discord in the story, as it does seem to be very enticing to read them, and I'm always enjoying to read them, as it is my duty, and I'd like to make sure I can keep that duty up. Now then, shall we get started? Ah, the first story we have for us today, well, we read the previous newest story, which is The Landlord Gave Me One Rule When I Moved In and I Broke It. As much as we did love that story, sadly we cannot reread it. Like my dog barking adds more ambiance. We'll be reading the next story. Let me turn down the TV actually. There we go. And sadly I cannot turn down my dog. We have My Neighbor Died Weeks Ago, so why do I still hear her walking at night? Or her walker at night. This was posted on r/no sleep 6 days ago. Seems to be a good read. Let's get to it. Maybe I can close it. Helped, but didn't solve it, did it? Now, get comfy. It's time for us to sing. My neighbor died weeks ago, so why do I still hear her walker at night? I don't know how to start this without sounding insane. Maybe I already am. Maybe you'll read this and think I'm just another liar trying to scare strangers online. I get it. I would think that too. But I don't want to scare anyone. I just want it to stop. I want it to all stop. It started 3 weeks ago when my upstairs neighbor died. She wasn't someone I knew very well. An old lady. Quiet. Frail. Never left her apartment unless it was Sunday. I only ever heard from her when she dragged her metal walker across the floor at night. She always moved at 3:17 a.m. every single night. I remember because I used to check this clock annoyed every time I heard her. And then she stopped. At first I didn't think anything of it. Maybe she moved, maybe her family took her to a care home. It was peaceful, kind of silence, but then I found a note under my door. It was written in shaky cursive. A paper smelled like dried roses and mildew. On it said was, "You hear her now, don't you?" I stared at it for a long time. No name, no explanation, just that question. That night, I woke up at exactly 3:17 a.m. The sound came from upstairs, but it was different. It was a walker. It was something dragging. A scraping sound. Wet. Something heavy being pulled across the floor. No footsteps, no wheels. Just the drag. I didn't sleep after that. I tried to tell the building manager the next day. He looked me straight in the eyes and said, "There's no one living upstairs." I told him that was impossible, that I heard every night for months. He just shook his head. "She passed away 2 weeks before you moved in." No, it's true. I had heard her moving every night unless I tried ignoring it. Earplugs, sleeping pills, nothing helped. At 3:17, I always wake up. The dragging would begin, louder, closer to my ceiling. I swear, some nights I could hear her breathing, wet rattling just above my bed. And then came the second note. Why me? It was written in the same shaky hand. This time, my hand was scrawled underneath an ink that looked like it seemed been smeared by fingers. Nora, I didn't tell anyone about this now. Who would believe me? I started recording at night, trying to catch the sounds, but every time I played it back, it was just silent or worse, static. Like something was blocking the sounds. I knocked on the ceiling one night just to see what happened. I heard it knock back. 3 slow, heavy knocks. And then something whispered from the vents. It didn't sound angry, it sounded like a cry that had been echoing for years, waiting for anyone to answer. I don't know what to say. I couldn't speak. I just stood there, frozen, waiting for the whisper to come again, but it didn't. Instead, the lights flickered, the walls groaned, and my phone vibrated. I don't remember putting my number anywhere. I don't remember setting up notifications from whatever app this was, but there it was. A message on a screen I didn't recognize. "You heard her. This means she's yours now." I stopped sleeping after that. I moved my bed into the living room, but it didn't help. The sound followed me. The dragging was closer. Sometimes I'd find wet streaks in the ceiling above me. Sometimes I'd wake up with dirt underneath my fingernails. My feet muddy like I'd been walking outside. But the door was locked, always locked. One morning, I woke up and found the mirror in the hallway cracked. In the center of the spiderweb cracked, someone had written in the string, "Why me?" Only this time the handwriting wasn't shaky. It was mine. I don't remember writing it. I didn't remember even standing there, but the toothbrush was still wet in my hand. My face looked pale. My own eyes, looked like they were aged 10 years overnight. I started to realize something. It wasn't just a ghost. It was something else. Something older, sadder. Something that needed someone to remember, and I did. Every night at 3:17, I remembered. I finally called a priest. He refused to enter the apartment. He just stood at the door and said, "She's not asking you a question. She's giving you an answer." "An answer to what?" I'd ask. He looked at me, pity in his eyes. "To what they've asked her when she was dead. To what she asked God when no one came to help her. To the silence she heard as she laid on the floor with her walker tipped over." He stepped back. "It's your turn." Last night the dragging stopped. I thought maybe it was over. Maybe she moved on. Maybe she found peace. But when I woke up, my hands were wet. My floor was covered in scratches. My ceiling had new marks. They weren't coming from upstairs anymore. They were coming from below. There was a note waiting for me by the sink this morning that, "Why me, Nora?" And below that, written a different hand, I don't remember ever using, "Because you heard her." That's a good one. I like that one. Short, simple, and very intriguing. Give that one a little upvote. Next note. Same user, this time on r/creepypasta. Why do you keep remembering? Let's get to it. Some things aren't supposed to stick with you. That's what I kept telling myself when it started. Just another meaningless thought, just static. No, not static. More like a splinter. But it's stuck. The words weren't even mine. I don't remember ever hearing them before. Not in a movie, not in a book, not in a conversation. But they came anyway. Like a splinter, you don't notice it until the affection sets in. Why do you keep remembering? The first time I heard it, I was half asleep, brushing my teeth. My reflection was fogged over the shower, just the faint blur of a figure in the glass, and then clear as day, like a thought placed carefully in my head. Why do you keep remembering? Remembering, if you're reading this, don't laugh. It happened. I know how it sounds. Sorry, I had to sneeze. I spat, rinsed, shook it off. Weird phrase, sure, but who hasn't had some random intrusive thought before? I didn't think about it again until the next morning, when it happened a second time, and then a third, and then I couldn't stop. It was just in my head. Just the first note was on my desk, a sticky note, pale yellow, maybe green. I can't remember right. I swear it was pink the first time. It doesn't matter. It was there, written in thick black marker, each jagged, slightly leaning left. Why do you keep remembering? I threw it away. The second one was in the bathroom mirror. Same words, same marker. I stared at it for what felt like hours before peeling it off and crumpling it in my hand. By the third, I was shaking. This one was different. It wasn't on where written. It wasn't on paper. It was on skin, my skin. I woke up one morning with my forearm itching. When I rolled up my sleeve, the words were written across my flesh in black ink, smeared slightly. Why do you keep remembering? I don't mean to write that here. My hand just slipped. No, not slipped. Something else. I scrubbed into my skin, burned. The ink came off, but the words didn't leave me. The dreams always went the same way. A hallway stretched too long, with the walls sweating mildew, and a carpet squealing faintly under my feet. At the end of the door, white paint chipped and curled, the brass knob tarnished green. No, no, it was silver. I don't know anymore. I wrote green before, but when I see it now in my head, it's silver. Both? Neither? I don't know. And always just the same pressure at my back, like someone standing just over my shoulders, breathing into me, asking not aloud, but inside my bones, why do you keep remembering? In the first few nights, I stood frozen before the door. I didn't touch the knob. I couldn't. There was a presence in my chest, something old, something heavy, that told me not to, but the dreams kept coming, night after night, same hallway, same door, same feeling, something behind me, breathing, softly waiting. On the fifth night, I got closer. I reached out, and my fingers hovered just above the spot. The air was thick, warm, almost sticky. I told myself it was just a dream, but my hands wouldn't move. On the sixth night, I touched it, just brushed the metal. It was cold, and then warm, like someone had been holding it from the other side. The seventh night, it turned. I didn't twist it. It turned on its own beneath my fingers. That was when I started locking my bedroom door at night. Sleeping. My apologies, I forgot my girlfriend's here. my apologies, everyone. I started locking my bedroom door at night, sleeping with lights on, hiding the mirrors. It didn't help. On the ninth night, I heard the click, the lock turning. Not in my dreams, in the room. I woke up screaming, drenched in sweat, and there on my nightstand was a folded piece of paper, written in my own handwriting, off and jagged, like it had been rushed, stopped before the door opens all the way. The next day, I tried not to think about it. I went through the motions. Coffee, emails, dishes, normal, but I felt them watching. I don't mean neighbors or people, I mean the memories, like they were standing in the room with me, waiting for me to slip. And maybe I did. I swore I wouldn't sleep. I left the lights on, drank coffee until my hands shook. Anything to keep the night away. But exhaustion always wins. And when it did, because that night the door opened, it wanted to. My hand moved away. My hand moved anyway. Like something inside me wasn't mine anymore. The lock clicked, the knob turned, the door groaned as it swung open. The smell hit first, damp concrete, copper rot. Then the sight. The room was a small, ceiling, low ceiling, concrete walls, streaked with dark stains in the corner. Something slumped, folded into itself. Not something, someone. Her. Her hair was matted and stiff. Her hair was gray, half collapsed, eyes wide and unblinked. Her lips parted and moved. At first, I told myself she was a stranger, some nightmare, stitched together from every fear I've ever had. But the longer I looked, the more detail slid into place. The scar on her chin, the curve on her mouth, I knew those things. Always known them. But it wasn't her voice. It was all the voices, all the whispers, all the notes. Why do you keep remembering? I fell to my knees, not in fear, not in shock, in recognition, because I knew her, because I remembered. I remembered the fight, the screaming, her nails dragging down my arm, leaving burning trails of blood. I remember the weight of my hands closing around her throat, the way she kicked, thrashed, the way she went still. I remembered dragging her here to the concrete room, to the door I swore I would never open. If you think I'm lying, stop reading. Just stop, because why do you keep remembering? I didn't mean to write it. My pen, it keeps doing this. I stayed inside again the next day. Curtains drawn, phone off, and still the notes appeared. One slipped under the bathroom door while I showered. One taped itself to the inside of the fridge. One slid out from under my pillow when I laid down, fluttering to the floor like a moth with broken wings. No, that's not right. It was already on the floor when I woke up. I think. I don't know. I keep mixing them up. Why do you keep remembering? I tore them up, burned them, flushed them, but no matter what I did, they came back. And worse, my own handwriting began to betray me. I tried writing out my grocery list halfway down the page without realizing I'd written the phrase again. I opened my journal. Old entries from months back. Entries I remembered writing had shifted. The words were still mine, still familiar, but burned in between the sentences, squeezed into margins, jammed between paragraphs. Why do you keep remembering? The letters weren't written in the same time. I could see that the ink had faded differently, as they had always been there, as if I'd always been haunted. Last night I woke up, standing at the door, not dreaming, standing there in the dark, hand on the knob. My apartment was gone. The walls, the furniture, all of it dissolved into nothing. As if it never existed, there was only the door. And behind it, I heard them laughing, not screams, not whispers, laughing. Like they knew something I didn't. Like the joke was on me. For the first time I saw the room. It wasn't a single space. It was endless. A hall of mirrors, stretching in every direction, except the mirrors didn't show me. Not exactly. They showed them, all of them. Every face I tried to bury. The man with the jaw shattered, the woman with the broken glasses, blood drawn her blouse, the boy, dirt packed under his fingernails, the girl with her ribbon slipped loose from her limp hair. They looked at me from the glass, not accused, not sad, just knowing. And when I moved, they didn't follow. I don't know what turned off. Oh, I think I know why. There we go. That should stop it from going off. They looked at me from the glass, not accusing, not sad, just knowing. And when I moved, they didn't follow my movements. They stayed frozen, relieving their final moments. But again and again, the weight of it broke me, and I sank to my knees, clutching my head, whispering apologies I didn't mean. The room didn't care, the mirrors didn't blink, and that's when I heard it, a voice behind me, calm, patient, familiar. Why do you keep remembering? I turned expecting to see her, the first one, the one who stated all of this, but it wasn't her. It was me, another version of myself, stood in the doorway, smiling, hands clean, eyes clear, the version that had lived free all these years, pretending nothing had ever happened. I crawled towards him, begging for help, but he only lifted his head, like studying a specimen, and said, "Because I made sure you would." And then he closed the door. They circled me, hands reaching, fingers clawing, their mouths opening all at once. Not screams, not words, just the same phrase. Why do you keep remembering? Why do you keep remembering? Why do you keep remembering? Remember, my pen slipped again. Alright, that's a good one. I will say that is a good one. I like that one. That was a good one. Okay. I found a VR game on the dark web. Now I can't tell what's real anymore. This is posted on the Dark Gathering. Oh, this was a re-upload from the creepypasta. Here we are. Yep. I found a VR game on the dark web. I can't tell what's real anymore. I spend too much time on the dark web. Not for anything illegal. Not really. I don't buy guns or pills or stolen logins. I just browse. Like the obscure stuff. The half-dead forums with usernames that look like ancient scripts. The marketplace pages that only stay up for 20 minutes at a time. The things that feel like they weren't meant to be seen. And yeah, sometimes I download weird things. Sometimes I click links I shouldn't. Around 3:40 a.m., I was half asleep, mind fogged from scrolling for hours. Sorry. Make my attention that needs to be fixed. Oh yeah. One night at around 3:40 a.m., I was half asleep, mind fogged from scrolling for hours. I found a post titled "Feel Everything, Full Immersion, VR, no headset required." No flare, no more images, just that one line, followed by a barely noticeable download button. That download button. I clicked it. Of course I clicked it. No virus warning, no installers, just a black window that opened up instantly. No controls, no instructions, just a single line of glowing red text saying, "Welcome home." And then sound, not music or static or any other game, it was just breathing. Like someone standing just behind me. Deep, steady inhales. I didn't even get the chance to react before the screen flashed and I was in a hallway. Not a rendered hallway, not no poly graphics or uncanny digital shaders. I was there. I don't know how else to say it. I didn't feel like I was in a game. I felt like I was inside a house. I'd never been seen it before. It was quiet. Dust hung in the air, the floor creaked beneath me. When I took a step forward, I could feel the chill on my skin, smell musty wood, decaying something sour. Hit my nose so sharply I gagged. I looked down and my hands, they were my hands. Everything was real. The textures on the walls, the way the light filtered through the stained glass, the dull vibrations of the floorboards when I walked. No HUD, no menu, no buttons, just me alone in the house. I tried to exit. I blinked and I was back in my room, sitting in my chair alone, except I wasn't sweating. Bored. My heart was pounding like I just ran a mile. My hands were covered in dust, and on my arms I smelled red line, small red line, like something had touched me. Next night I went back. Same black window, same welcome home. Same house. This time I stayed longer. I wandered through the rooms. None of them made sense. A kitchen led into a bathroom. A stairwell went down but ended at an attic. Some of the furniture looked warped, like it had melted and reformed in strange shapes. But but I felt everything. I cracked, touched a cracked window, and it sliced my fingertips open. I ran my hand over a burning stovetop and felt my skin blister. I stood underneath a leaking sink and shivered as cold water soaked through my shirt. Every sensation was real, too real. I couldn't stop. I was obsessed, not with the visuals or the mystery, but with the feeling, the immersion. Nothing in the world compared. No pain, no pleasure, not dreams. It was like living in the edge of something bigger, something alive, something that wanted me. I don't know how many times I played the game. I didn't keep track sessions. I didn't track sessions. There was no save file, no login, just a blank black window I clicked when I wanted to feel again, and slowly the game started bleeding into the real world. At first it was small things. The smell of rotten hallway would follow me out of the game. I'd find dust on the floor that matched the exact grainy texture of the carpet inside the house. Then I started hearing breathing at night, always from behind me, always just out of reach. One afternoon, I tried to cook dinner. My real stove looked different, older, rusted, the exact same design as the one in the game. The knobs felt too warm when I touched them. I blinked, shook my head, and it was normal again. But my hand still stung. I checked the skin, blistered same spot as where I touched the stuff in the game the night before. I tried to stop. I didn't open the game for 3 days. I unplugged my PC and stayed away from screens. I thought maybe I just needed sleep. On the third night, I woke up on the floor in my hallway, dust in my mouth, blood on my fingertips. I don't remember walking here. I don't remember doing anything. I sat up, shaking, turned to look at the mirror in the hallway behind me. For a split second, I saw the house flickering like a reflection of somewhere else. And when it was gone, I couldn't tell if it had gone into the game or if the game had come out. I started sleepwalking. That's not something I've done before, but now I'd wake up in strange places on the floor of the bathtub, once even on my kitchen counter, with no memory of how I got there, and always there was dust on my hands, the same kind of dust the house in the game. At first, I thought I was just dreaming, that maybe I'd been playing the game so much it warped my brain. Then I started finding things in my real apartment. I'd wake up in my bedroom and look wrong. Like the bed frame had shifted a few inches. The closet door unhinged just slightly. I knew my space. I was observed. I was obsessive before how things were placed. But every day something would be off. Like the house was copying itself over life. Like the game was trying to render itself here. And then came the children. It started with the whispers, laughter from the hallway, bare feet slapping against the floor, high-pitched giggles, the sound of small hands brushing the walls. I'd run to the hallway, thinking maybe I left the video game on or something. There was no sound, no source, just silence, and the faint scent of mildew. And then one night I saw them, 3 kids, pale, dirty, standing in the middle of the hallway just watching me. Their clothes didn't match. They looked like they were from different decades. One had an old-fashioned sailor outfit, another wore a blood-stained hoodie, and the third had no shoes and stood perfectly still. Twitching every second, I blinked, and they were gone. Vanished. I finally snapped the night. I saw him, the tall man, the thing. It wasn't a person. It was black, black like a shadow that had refused to move, black like the color you see behind your eyelids when you're underwater. He stood just beyond the kids, at least 7 feet tall, thin but not fragile. His limbs looked like they were strung together from wires and bones. His head tilted at an impossible angle, like someone had assembled it wrong. And even though he had no face, I knew he was smiling. I called the police. I didn't even think twice about it. I picked up my phone, fingers shaking, and told him there was people in my house, that I was seeing things, children, a man, shadows. The operator kept asking me to calm down. I don't feel safe. I said, please just send someone. They said they'd dispatch a unit. 10 minutes later, there was a knock on my door. The officer looked normal. Mid-40s, calm voice, concerned expression. He stepped into the apartment, looked around, and then shook his head. "Who's here?" And he said, "Everything looks secure." I must have looked insane. Pale, itchy, hollow eyes. "Okay," he said. "Look, why don't you grab a coat? I'll take you to town, let you get some rest, talk to someone." My car had broken down that morning, engine failure, battery shot, everything dead. Something had been under it. I saw it, crawling, long arms, flat face. I didn't argue, I just nodded. I went to grab my coat. I was only gone for 30 seconds. When I came back into the room, the officer was on the floor, dead, blood pooling around his head. His skull was cracked open like someone had slammed it into the corner of the table. No signs of a struggle, and right above him stood the black figure, watching me. Not moving, no sound, or expression. Just presence. I screamed. I didn't look back. I ran to the officer's car and jumped in, fumbled with the key, started the engine, and drove. The moment the car started, I floored the gas pedal. I didn't look in the rearview mirror. I didn't want to know if he was still standing there, or if he was following me, or worse, if he were already in the car. The tires screeched as I tore out of my neighborhood. Streetlights blurred past, the dashboard glowing a sickly blue. It was 30 minutes to town. 30 minutes to safety. I told myself if I could just get there, I could just see other people, normal people. It'd be okay. I gripped the wheel tighter. I just needed to focus. Just needed to. Road bent slightly to the left. A field of trees rolled by on the right. A crooked pine sat at the edge of the ditch. Past it, my eyes flicked at the clock, 3:12. Kept driving. The road bent slightly to the left again. Trees, ditch, crooked pine. Same one. I blinked. Maybe I was disoriented. I pressed the gas harder. 3:13 a.m. Bent left, trees, ditch, crooked pine. Again, I stared at the tree. It wasn't just similar, it was identical. Same number of branches, same broken limb hanging halfway down, same tilt. I took a deep breath and kept going. 3:14 a.m. Bent left, trees, ditch, pine. I slammed the brakes. The car skidded to a halt. I was shaking. My hands were sick with sweat. My breath fogged from the windshield. I was trapped. I stepped out of the vehicle. The wind was still. The trees didn't move. The sky was cloudless, just black, starless void. No animals, no bugs, no distant cars, nothing. I tried calling 911 again. No signal. My phone flickered and showed a loading icon I'd never seen before. The spinning circle pulsed like a heartbeat. And from then the screen turned black. And in a red text, the same words I saw when I first launched the game. "Welcome home." I dropped the phone. I got back in the car and drove faster. 50, 60, 80. But no matter how far I went, the scenery didn't change. It was like driving through a screensaver set on loop. Time lost meaning. I didn't know how long I drove. Minutes, hours, days. I don't remember blinking. I don't remember eating. I just remember the road, the bend, the pines, the silence, until suddenly I wasn't in the car anymore. I was on my couch, arms stretched out, fingers curled like they're gripping a steering wheel. TV static buzzed in the background. Our apartment was silent. Cold. I sat there, not moving, afraid to breathe. No officer, no black figure, no patrol car, just me, alone, exactly how I'd been before. I clicked the game. My shoes were muddied. My pockets were filled with dust and pine needles, and in my left hand, clenched tight, was the officer's badge. I don't know what's going on. Sometimes I wake up in rooms I don't recognize. One night I opened a closet to grab a jacket and saw a hallway I'd never seen before. Long, pulsing, filled with flickering lights and whispering children. I slammed it shut. When I opened again, it was just closed. The whispering stayed. Now I hear breathing every night. Oh, it's always behind me. Steady, uncomfortably close. Sometimes I feel cold fingers brushing the back of my neck. Sometimes I see footprints appear in the dust on the floor, bare feet small. Sometimes I catch glimpses of the tall man standing behind the doors, reflected in the windows, watching and waiting. I tried to tell someone. I wrote everything down, sent it to a friend. He replied with 3 words. "That game's mine now." Then he stopped answering. His phone went dead. I checked his apartment. It was empty. But on the floor in a circle of dust was a small wooden toy spinning top. It's themed in the game. I haven't turned on my PC in weeks, but the monitor turns on itself now. Sometimes at 2 a.m., sometimes at 3:40. Each time it boots up on a black screen and a single red message. Feel everything. Sometimes it says, Welcome home. And now tonight, for the first time it says, You never left. I think I'm still playing. I think the game just changed levels. I think this is the next stage. And maybe it always ends this way. Maybe we were never meant to leave. Maybe he's already standing behind you right now, reading this with you. And if you start hearing things too, if your house starts to shift, if you wake up with dust in your lungs and scratches on your skin, then I'm sorry. May God have mercy on your soul. Good one. I like that one. Okay. Give that a little up vote. I'll try my best to give. Each time that you guys hear this little click, it's me upvoting each one because it keeps resetting the upvotes. You know, I'm curious. We've been doing this for 30 minutes now. I'm curious. What is their first story? Shall we read to it? Get to it. I worked the night shift at a motel, room 209. Shouldn't be on the system. Ooh, it's a pretty short one compared to the others. Yeah, this was posted on our station of sleep 2 months ago. I worked the night shift at a motel, room 209. Shouldn't be on the system. I worked the night shift at a roadside motel off a forgotten hallway. 12 hours of flickering lights, stale coffee, and guests who don't want to be remembered. It's quiet most nights, too quiet, and for a while I liked that. But a few weeks ago, something changed. At exactly 2 a.m., the front desk rang. Room 209, which would be normal if that room wasn't empty, had been for days. I answered them anyway, static, then a voice faint and wet, sounding whispering. I hung up, checked the system, no check-ins. Keys to 209 were still in the drawer. I went up anyways. Door locked, lights off. When I pressed my ear onto it, I heard breathing. Slow, heavy, wet. I didn't open the door. Next night, same thing. 203. Call from 209. This time it was whispering. Overlapping voices. Name some deep, some high one. One of them was crying. Maintenance changed the lock. Reset the keycard system. Didn't matter. 201, the phone rang again. Why won't you come take a look? A child's voice this time. I called the cops. They searched the room, found nothing except the smell. One of the officers gagged, said it was like something had died in the walls. Pest control blamed raccoons. They didn't check the crawl space. A woman checked in later that week, middle-aged, polite, passing through. I gave her room 211, just down the hall from 209. At 3:17 a.m., I saw her on the lobby camera. Barefoot, pale, moving like she was asleep. She walked past the front desk without looking at me. I called out, Ma'am, are you okay? No answer. She turned the corner down the hallway. I followed. She was gone. Hallway camera showed nothing. Like she just vanished. Her car stayed in the lot. Her purse was still in the room. I never saw her. The manager told me to keep it quiet. She'll disappear here all the time. He joked. But he didn't smile. I started keeping the lobby lights off at night. Just the desk lamp. Just the desk lamp. Less glare. I don't like reflections anymore. Because last Tuesday, the room 209 camera clicked on. No guest was booked there. The door was cracked open, the light was on, and something was standing inside, facing the wall, not moving, arms too long, too still. I zoomed in. The feed glitched, then cut out. When I came back, the figure was closer, still facing the wall. It looked and I locked the front door. I asked Rosa, our morning cleaner, if she'd ever cleaned 209. She looked at me weird. "Room's sealed," she said. "Has been since the fire, Wolf. Before your time," she said. "Back when this place was still called the Pine Hill Inn." Pine Hill Inn. Goodness. Told me a man. It showed me a man lit his family on fire in that room. His wife and daughter. No warning, no motive. They say the flames lasted longer than they should have, longer than physics allowed. And the motel didn't renovate. They just painted over the walls and changed the number. Now it's room 209. But now it's now, but no one's supposed to stay there. No one. Last night I woke up at the desk, head down. Didn't remember falling asleep. Security monitor was static. Then it cleared. Room 209, door wide open. A little girl stood in the doorway. Hair burnt, skin blackened, but her face was perfect, untouched, and she was smiling. I reached for my walkie, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. The screen went black. Now I'm plugged in the phone. In 209 every night. Doesn't matter, it still rings. Always at 2:09 a.m. Sometimes I answer, all I hear is breathing. Sometimes something else, but mouth noises, like lips moving without sound. Last night it whispered, "Check the crawl space." I haven't. Not yet. Today there's a new smell in the office. Like smoke and burnt hair. Hmm. That was a good one. I can't I can't write anything better, and I like it. Change. Doesn't let me close up. There we go. My son. Let's look at the second most recent one. Or not the second most recent one. Their second ever posted one. My son says his mother is talking to him through the walls. She died 3 weeks ago. Again, posted on r/no sleep. Which, I will just state this, everyone who's listening, bit of eclipse time. I read these at 10 p.m. and I don't stop until like 12. And I'm reading them from r/no sleep, and I somehow sleep soundly after this. I don't know if that means people should be. I don't know if that means anything, or it just means I'm psychotic. Could be that one. I don't know. I thought it'd be more nice to read these at night. Probably not the best idea, but here we are. I will say this, even though I just stated to read these until 12, at 10:30 I'll be stopping, as I do have to wake up very early in the morning. So I hope you guys aren't too mad about that. Okay. No. Now let's continue. Grief does strange things to people. After my wife died, everything in our home shifted. Not physically, nothing moved or fell or broke. The silence changed. Stopped being quiet. Started to feel heavy, like the walls were holding their breath. I stopped talking, which so did my son. Sam is 10. He's a quiet kid, thoughtful, always drawing or reading or building things out of cardboard. He adored his mother. The way he clung to her, the way he hung onto every word she said. It's something I ever thought too deeply about. You can assume there'll be time. There'll be time. He didn't cry at the funeral, not even when they lowered the casket. He just held my hand with a grip so tight my fingers went numb. He didn't want to sleep in his room after that. He said it felt too big now. So I let him sleep in mine. I thought it might help at first. It did. The first time it happened, I thought I was dreaming. It was 3:11 a.m. when I woke up. The air in the room felt tense, like the moment before a thunderstorm. Sam lay beside me, eyes open, staring up at the ceiling. I whispered his name. Sam? He didn't look at me. She's in the walls, he said, voice flat. Eh? She says she will come back. I blinked at him, trying to shake off the fog of sleep. Who says that? She does. Mommy. She talks to me at night. He finally looked at me and smiled. It was too wide, stretched, like he didn't understand how mouths were supposed to work. The next morning, he didn't remember any of it. I started noticing small things. Old drafts with no source, Sam's drawings. First, there were stick figures of us smiling, then he started drawing two of her. It looked like normal Mommy, the other one had no face. I found one crumpled under his pillow, showed me asleep in bed. Mommy in the wall, peeking out, reaching for Sam. I asked him about it. He shrugged. She says she's coming back. She says you left her in. At night, I started hearing things scratching from the inside of the wall. Sam's bedroom, faint at first, then louder, dry, slow, like fingernails dragging across the wood. Sometimes I thought I'd hear a voice, not whispers. He's breathing. I told myself it was the house settling. A mouse, rats maybe. I still didn't vent. I bought traps and nothing helped. One night, I pressed my ear to the wall. There was a sound behind it. A low thumping, like something knocking from the inside. And then I heard her voice, faint, muffled, but clear enough to understand. No. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, I moved Sam's bed into the guest room with me. He didn't even ask why. That night, I dreamed of her. Oh, bum! That night, the next day, I moved Sam's bed into the guest room with me. He didn't even ask why. That night, I dreamed of her. Not how she was, not before the accident. Her face was wrong. Her eyes were too far apart. Her lips moved just a bit too slowly when she spoke. She curled into bed with me, thin, cold, and damp. I miss our family, she whispered. I wanted to be whole again. When I woke up, the bed beside me was wet. Not sweat, not tears. The mattress was cold, like something had been laying there all night. The drywall behind Sam's old dresser creaked, a long, thin splint from the floor to the ceiling, like something was trying to push through. I ran my fingers over it. Pulsed, warm to the touch, not a surface, a membrane. I boarded it up, nailed thick wooden planks over the wall. Every screw I drove in made my teeth ache. Sam just watched me from the hallway. They didn't ask me why, didn't say a word. The night I heard it screaming, not from Sam, from inside the wall. It didn't sound human, but it sounded like it didn't sound like an animal either, like something trying to imitate a scream and almost getting it right. The next morning, the boards were gone. No splinters, no nails, just gone. In their place, something had been written on the drywall. Scratched, burned into it. Let me finish. I took Sam and drove to a motel 3 towns over. Didn't pack more than clothes and a toothbrush. I told him we're going on a trip. He didn't look surprised. Great. That night, he slept soundly for the first time in weeks. I almost let myself believe it was over. In the motel phone rang. 2:13 a.m. I picked up, silence then static. Then, you let me in. You don't get to shut the door now. I hung up and ripped the cord from the wall. Sam was sitting up in the bed, watching me. Is Mommy mad? I didn't know what to say. I sat next to him, brushed the hair out of his face. She says you left her behind. He whispered. She says the crash wasn't her fault. He looked at me. She says you were drinking. That's not true. I had a beer with dinner at home. I wasn't drunk. I wasn't. We were arguing, and that much is true. She wanted to take Sam and go to her sister's for a few days. Said I was distant, cold, said I didn't care anymore. I told her to go, then slammed the door. Didn't even say goodbye. She drove off into the rain. 20 minutes later, her car skidded into a ditch and hit a tree. They said she died instantly, but what if she didn't? I went back to the house alone. I didn't want to, but I had to know, had to see. The wall was open, not cracked, not broken, open. A hole the size of a door leading into darkness. I could see to the other side of the wall. The insulation, the wood beams, but they looked wrong, too deep, like the space went further than it should have. I heard something breathing, and when I saw her crawling out slowly, her limbs too long, her skin raw, her face only mostly bright. You left me, she whispered. I ran back to the motel. Sam was drawing again. The new picture showed three people in a bed. Me, Sam, and Mommy. Only Mommy wasn't in the bed. She was under it. I asked him where he saw that. He pointed to the floor. She's been there the whole time. She said she'll be quiet if we let her stay. I don't know what I let in. I don't know if it's even her. Whatever crawled out of that wall has Sam's trust, his attention. I tried to take him to my sister, but he screamed the whole night. Said I was stealing him. Said he needed him. Said she needed him. Said she says it was my fault. He cried. She says I should have been in the car, not her. And he stopped talking after that completely. Not Now he just draws page after page. The last one was of me, standing in the kitchen, only it wasn't me. The eyes were empty sockets. Something thin and black was crawling out of my mouth. I confronted him gently. Where did you draw this? He looked up at me. His voice was soft, far away. She says that's what you looked like when you opened the wall. I didn't open it, Sam. He didn't answer, just smiled. Last night I woke up and he wasn't in bed. I found him in the hallway, sitting beside the wall. The hole was open again, and I hear her voice. She wasn't angry anymore. She was cooing, sweet, loving, like she used to sound like when she sang to him. Come in, baby, she whispered. Come see what I saved for you. I picked him up and carried him away. He didn't struggle, didn't scream, but as I tucked him back in, he looked at me and said, she says next time you won't be able to stop me. I blocked the door to the hallway, nailed it shut, pushed furniture in front of it, but last night I found the kitchen chairs stacked in a perfect spiral. On the living room floor, every clock in the house stopped at 3:14 a.m. Sam was standing in the front of the wall, smiling. I think I opened something I wasn't meant to, and now something is wearing her voice. I don't know if it's a ghost or something worse, but I want Sam. And I'm not sure I can stop it anymore. Very well. That will have to be the last story we read for today, fellas. I'm deeply sorry. No, the reason being is because of, well, one, I have to wake up early. So, my apologies. Two, I don't want to go through all of them. I'm reading them fairly quickly. Out of the ones so far, in an hour, roughly, I've read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or no, 4 pages so far, or 4 little notes. And there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 left. So that means, at the pace I'm going, I'd finish this in 3 hours. So, as much as I'd love to keep reading, as much as I'd love to keep going, I would. I would love to, I really do. Though, I do need my rest, and I do have to wake up, and I will have to have roughly a long time of time. So, thank you all for stopping by. This was a short one, yes, and I'm deeply sorry. So, I hope you all enjoyed yourself. And try your best to smile, make the world just a tiny bit better if you can. Until we meet again, alright? Try our best to sleep well, ladies and gentlemen. Goodbye, and enjoy yourself.